I pretty much go down rabbit holes, from one rabbit hole to the next. More rabbit holes, more rabbit holes, more rabbit holes. I get really into a lot of things. Welcome to Kickin' It Creative, a YouTube channel and podcast filled with content crafted by Candice. I'm your host, Candice Harris. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in and hitting play and taking the time to listen to what I have to say about things. In this first episode, I'm going to share some personal and career updates. I'm going to talk about highlights from my fall con crawl, which I'm just getting back from. And I'm also going to let you know what Kickin' It Creative is all about, what you can expect, and what kind of random wild ride you're in for should you choose to subscribe and follow Kickin' It Creative. Before I put any content out on this channel, I wanted to have new theme music dialed in. I wanted the perfect logo. I wanted a website, t-shirts, business cards, maybe even a soundtrack. I don't know. Anyways, sometimes you just gotta turn on the camera, plug in the mic, and start talking. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a drummer. I am a board game designer. I'm basically just obsessed with music and board games. For a lot of my life, it was music. At some point, it became board games. And even within each of those spaces, I find a rabbit hole, I go down the rabbit hole, and then I find more rabbit holes, more rabbit holes, more rabbit holes. I'm kind of an idea gremlin. My partner, Matt, told me when I showed him these sleeves, he said, that's me. I am pretty much like a gremlin. Or, no, not a gremlin, like Gizmo. Never feed after midnight. I get really into a lot of things, and I like talking about it. I like sharing that with other people. So at the end of September, I decided to leave my media creator position at Board Game Geek. And as much as I love all of the people at BGG, I've been dealing with some struggles and challenges working there, and I realized that the best thing for me would be to move on. It was kind of ironic that my cousin, who sends this weekly Happy Friday email, the email that she sent on the Friday where I kind of came to this conclusion, the quote she put in it was, "If you aren't changing it, you're choosing it." And she was just kind of like sharing how like you're in control of your own destiny. And if you just continue with the same actions, you're going to continue seeing the same results. So it was kind of like serendipitous because I did not read like that. Reading that quote didn't get me to where I landed, but I thought it was really interesting, the timing of her sending that particular quote out, and me getting to a point where I just needed to step away. At the time that I decided to leave, I actually did not know what I wanted to do next. But then I started thinking about how much I love playing board games, how much I love talking to people about them. I find so many benefits to playing board games for mental health, for, just socializing, connecting with people around the world. And I love sharing that with people. So I decided I wanted to keep creating content and try to pick up some freelance work doing videos on board games to pay the bills. All that being said, I do want to say a big thank you to Aldi and everyone at BGG, but Aldi especially, for bringing me on full time in 2022. It was kind of a leap to throw me into the mix. I'll be forever grateful for all the amazing opportunities and all the connections I've made and friends I've made around the world from being a part of the BGG team. So I just want to say thank you, and everything happens for a reason. I'm excited about the future now. This was an unexpected change, but I think it's going to be a positive change, and hopefully positive on both sides. There aren't sides though. There's no fight or anything like that. Thank you to everyone out there who followed everything or anything I was doing on BGG. And as it has been for the past 5+ years, I'm pretty sure BGG is still going to be my most visited website as long as I'm still deep into the board game rabbit hole. So I wish Aldi and the team, everyone at BGG, all of the best. So I guess the start of my con crawl was October 3rd to the 10th. I went on the BGG at Sea cruise. Thank you to Aldi. It was super cool. So I know a lot of you out there have been doing these board game cruises. I get it now. I get it. Not only did I discover this year that I like cruises, like I was always one of the people who are skeptical about cruises, but I get it now. There's something very relaxing being on the water. There's so much going on. I've never done like any other board game cruise, but this one was really cool. Jeff Anderson runs the cruises. He's a cruise expert. Him and Christine are lovely and they got everything set up. Anybody who registered for the cruise was able to submit 2 games from the BGG library to come onto the ship. So they didn't have the huge library that you'll find at BGG.CON, but there were more than enough games because I want to say that there were probably about like 150 to 200 attendees. We had a dedicated room on the ship that had tables. We never had any problems sitting down at a table to play games. Like, it was not overcrowded, but it was just intimate enough that you really kind of got to meet new friends and get to know people. And honestly, like when the cruise ended, I was like kind of going through withdrawal, not seeing my cruise homies and some of the new friends that we made there. Shout out to the Reno crew. There were a lot of people from Reno there. I brought on with me Import Export, the definitive edition that I backed, and I was determined to play it because one of the things about like when you're taking off, at least from El Segundo, there are a bunch of cargo ships and it reminded me of those containers. So I was like, I'm going to bring Import Export on this cruise. Played it a couple times, had a good time, realized probably shouldn't play it at the full player count unless everyone knows how to play it. I finally played Quartermaster General World War II. I kept hearing cool things about Quartermaster General. War of the Ring, the card game, is the same designer, and I liked that, so I'm like, I need to try Quartermaster General. So I finally did, and it is fun. It's light, fun, definitely beer and pretzels, but we played at the full player count, 3v3, had some like very interesting moments that I cannot remember right now because that was a while ago. That was the start of my con crawl. Played a lot of Wroth. It's a new one from Chip Theory. That's this quick area control game with asymmetric factions. Played it for the first time on there and I ended up playing it a couple times. It's a slick game, slick design, and the different factions make it really cool. I had some very close games of it. It's one I've been wanting to get back to the table, but because of the con crawl and the other cons I went to, I don't think had it. But yeah, Wroth was cool. And like the neon color scheme, dope. Pretty dope. I got to play Dune Imperium Uprising 3v3 for the second time. So good. So good. Like, that game is awesome, number one. But, like, that 3v3 6-player mode, so good. Our game ran a little long because of the timing of when we started. And it was one of those classic con things where it was like, oh, we're going to play this on Sunday, right? Oh, this person can't. Oh, wait, I can't. You know, and they kept getting pushed. Then it got pushed to like, I think we'd start at like 5 p.m. Different people had different dinner times scheduled and everything. So by the time we started it, we like paused it, all went to dinner. I feel like took 2 hours. Then you like come back and getting back into the swing of things. And it also just was like a tight, tense game, as Dune Imperium Uprising usually is. We got to a point where it was like just starting to run long, and we were like, okay, this is going to be the last round. So everybody like puts everything into this last round. Oh, you know, pull all the stops. And when we got to the final battle, which would have, I think, made either team win, we tied. We tied. Everybody put their like intrigue cards in. We just gave it our all and we tied. And we were just like, no one was planning to go into another round. It was still fun, but yeah, it took too long because of the split and that unexpected ending where everybody took forever to plan it out. And then we tied and had to play another round. So that was really cool. And then 2 other mentions about the cruise. I got to play Galactic Cruise, an actual full game with the finished product. Jeff, who is a cruise expert and the person who books all the cruises for BGG, he loves this game. He did a rolling teach. Matt and I played with Jeff and Christine, and it was so cool. I knew like Matt was going to be intimidated, but I just remember Derek from the BGG team, who doesn't play a lot of heavy games. Last BGG spring, he bought it. Like he demoed it and then he bought it. And he was like, yeah, it just kind of clicked. And that was like my selling point to Matt, is because it's like so thematic and things just make sense. Once you get into it, it's really smooth. And of course, Ian O'Toole crushed the art and iconography to the point where they have this like really nice player aid, but I didn't even need to look at the player aid at all, because after you learn what the icons do, it's very intuitive. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat and say it's a light game, but it's a heavier game that is accessible, I guess. Yeah, I'll say accessible. So that was really exciting, and now I want to play more Galactic Cruise. Then Jeff also ran a 6-player kind of learning game of Dragons Down, which was incredibly fun. Jeff loves Magic Realm and got into Dragons Down, and like whenever someone is like really excited about a game, nothing beats having someone like that teach you the game, because you know he's played it a bunch and he's also played Magic Realm a bunch, which it's inspired by. So it was really cool. So we had this adventure, this really fun adventure in Dragons Down. It's a sandbox adventure game that's like almost like choose your own adventure in terms of how you want to play, because you can set it up to be a long game. You can make it competitive. You can make it cooperative. You can make it competitive with PvP attacking if you want to. It has this really cool dice system where the dice hate you. The dice absolutely hate you. There are a lot of very thematic elements, and it's not the adventure type of game where you're going to read a big passage. Your story develops based on your encounters. Like you're moving around a map, trying to look for treasures, fighting baddies, sometimes running and hiding from them. It is super cool. I had interviewed Scott Demers, the designer of Dragons Down, on Cardboard Creations, and at that point I had only like dabbled into the game, so it was nice to actually like play more of it. And then when we got home, Matt and I set up a 2-player game because we both like wanted to play it more. So I am very excited to kind of delve into that more and really get familiar with everything. I think like the combat is tricky, but it's because it's different. But it's super cool if you're into like adventure style games. After the cruise, less than 2 weeks later, we flew to Germany for SPIEL Essen 2025. And that was awesome. This was like a trip that was already planned with BGG, and Aldi was like, go have fun. So thank you, Aldi, for that. We did have a really nice time there as always. We helped the BGG crew set up the booth, caught up with them for a bit, then just went around networking. I always love going to Spiel because it's so international and you get to bump into people from all around the world. You have publishers from all around the world showing off games. Lots of really hot new games come out. Although I don't know if there was like one particular hot new one this year. But I did come home with a lot of games, and I did a game haul video, which will be coming out shortly. I've just been like slow to cut it, but that technically is the first video for Kickin' It Creative. In Essen, got to demo a bunch of games, had some meetings. Then I also got to actually hang out and walk around with Alex from Talking Shelf Space. We got to play a game together. I forget if we got to check out a few things, but it was nice because Alex is one of the people that I've met through working in the board game world, and we bump into each other in Essen, and it's usually just like, hey, oh, did you get anything cool? Bye. But this time we actually got to like hang out and get a bite and play a couple games together. It was really, really awesome. Alex does interviews and writes a blog. He's just a real sweetheart. A lot of board game conventions like Essen and Gen Con, I feel like it's hard to play games. Usually you're like demoing stuff or like you have time to play some quick stuff here and there. But I was trying to make an effort to go back to the hotel and play games in the evening. So the first night, actually this was the night before the show started, I played Kingdom Crossing with my friend Roberto Panetta, the designer of Gems of Iridecia, which just dropped. Go Roberto! Whoop, whoop. And Stella from Meeple University was in our hotel. And she was way too tired to play with us, but she had played with Tarrant, I think, before Spiel, and taught us, and we kind of stalled her, so she hung out and talked to us for a while. I wanted to play with more players, 3 or 4. So later in the week, I got to revisit it with 4 players with Crystal from Level 99 Games and her partner Smithy. It was way more exciting with 4 players, but they had to leave early because they had to catch a train. This one I need to play some more, but I liked what I saw so far, and I'm going to try not to be redundant with what's on my Essen Game Hall video that's coming. But I played a game called Mongoose, which is a deduction game from La Mom Games. And this is Ricky Tata, the designer of Coup. It's his publishing company. And it's a fantastic little game where each player has 2 standees in front of them with cards. So you can see all your opponent's cards, but you cannot see what's on your own. And through some rock, paper, scissor type mechanisms, you are trying to deduce which 2 cards you have. Also got in some plays of Rowdy Partners, which is a new trick-taking game from Capstone Games. This one is cool because if you play with 4 players, it's 2v2. The theme is wrestling. So each player is going to have their own like wrestler that they're playing as. So there's some asymmetry because each wrestler has their own power. You're basically trying to knock out one of your opponents before they knock you out or you get pinned. Even though the end of the track is a skeleton, I was like, is that pinned or are we killing these wrestlers? I don't know. But anyway, like played a team game of that. We were like LARPing it up a little bit. That was with Victor from the company that made Europa Universalis, Price of Power, who was also at our hotel, and super fun hanging out with those guys. So I'm just going to skip Essen a little bit just because I would say just look out for my Essen haul video to see more about that. But I think less than a week after we got back. Oh, wow. How do I forget this? After Essen, we took the train, stopped in Cologne, which we had never been to, saw like the super cool cathedral there. And then the next day, we took the train to Belgium and visited our friends Cedric and Gwen from Captain Games. Just had an amazing time. Cedric is just like one of the craftiest people I've ever met. Is like, oh, that coffee table's nice, Cedric. And he's like, oh, I made that. This guy's got like, he laser etched this box for Seventh Continent that I'm like, oh my, like, it's just like top notch skills this guy has. So it was just fun to like spend time with him. Initially, we thought we were going to like do some sightseeing in Belgium, but we ended up just playing games. Let's go, Green. Get in there, Green. Knock them down. Hanging, eating a lot of cheese, drinking wine, having chocolates. The day before Essen started, they were setting up this huge dragon. They always go all out with their booth decorations. And now I know Cedric's so crafty, but he made that stuff to promote their new game, Map Masters. We also got to play a new game that's going to be coming, I believe, next year from Captain Games called Tea and Rum right now. And it's this pirate game that has this very unique worker unplacement mechanism. And you start with workers on these different action spaces, and each action space has 4 sections top to bottom. And at the beginning, all the meeples I think are placed randomly. I don't remember 100%, but then the first round, you're going to pull one of your workers back from these different action boards and take the corresponding action. I think the amount... I think there's something like related to the amount of people that are already on that space. But then later there's a worker placement phase. But I thought that the worker unplacement, then worker placement mechanism was really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing like where they go with that. And also I love the idea that like you have 2 different types of points, and whichever one is highest, if it's 10 or more higher than the other type of points, then you bring it back down, and then that's your score for the game. So that was very cool. Yeah, Tea and Rum prototype. Thank you again to Cedric for hosting us, and Gwen and everybody, the team at Captain Games. It was just an awesome time. So we gotta get back to Belgium. Then we went to SDHistCon in San Diego. And this one gave us a little break because we didn't have to fly this time. We could just drive on down. And SDHistCon is just awesome. It's like 120 people maybe, and it feels like family at this point. Everybody's pretty cool, down to earth. This dice tray is so cool. Not only does it have like really beautiful art, but it just feels nice. Ooh, it has like a bounce to it that's just so satisfying. There are lots of new prototypes and demos of games. I got to play a 3v3 game of Seljuk. It is the new game in the Levy and Campaign series from GMT. This series is really cool because it's a war game, but it's not focused on like the actual like battle side of war. It's focused on the logistics. You have to make sure your lords and your soldiers are fed. You have to make sure you can get from one location to the next with proper transportation. So we played a game that was some content creators versus designers. Super fun. Hurt my brain a little bit because I haven't played Levy and Campaign in a while, but now I'm like reinvigorated and want to play some of those games more. And I know they have one coming that is going to be a little more of an entry-level Levy and Campaign game. So I'm really excited about that because I do think it's like a very cool system. It's not the easiest thing to get into, but it's very, very cool. So I'm glad there's going to be something that's a little more accessible out there. San Diego was just cool too because it was almost like a reunion. My friend Hector and Adrian, they were out. They kind of surprised us. I think he had told me months before that they were thinking about going. So it was great to game with him and play Guards of Atlantis 2. Also played a really fun game that now like I keep in my backpack called Jibber Jabble. It's a cooperative word guessing game in the vein of something like Just One. And the way it works is you will draw a card and show it to everyone else, and you won't look at it. You'll pick a number from 1 to 6, which is gonna be a word. And then starting with the player to the left of you, they go around the table trying to work together to spell out 3 words, one at a time, to help the person who's guessing guess what the word is. And it is just kind of magical how this game works because without fail, like somebody will just be like S, and then sometimes people are just like O-O-N or whatever, and they're just quick, like everybody's on the same page. Oh yeah, we know. But other times you'll say S, and then the person after you stops and starts thinking, and it's like, oh crap, they don't know where I'm going with this. And then they think, and sometimes you get it. And other times you're just gonna say something, say some letter, and then hope someone else going around the table can kind of salvage it. And we had one spicy night of playing this because a bunch of us waited too long to eat dinner. And Nate ended up having to put on smooth jazz to keep things chill. So if you ever played Jibber Jabble and people are getting a little feisty, just put on some smooth jazz. Take a lesson from us. I got to try a very civil Whist, which I picked up at Essen from Phalanx and designed by Fred Serval. It's very cool. I've been very excited to get that back to the table. It's a trick-taking game based on the English Civil War. Everything like looks really cool. There's so much tension, and it surprised me for a war game with trick taking. Sometimes you could just get into like, oh, this person won the tricks. You know, you're pushing and pulling like a tug of war. I'm not speaking of any particular game, but I think that's just what I kind of expected. But it has other layers to it, which were really, really cool. You'll definitely hear and see more about A Very Civil Whist at some point on Kickin' It Creative. Got to play Striking Flint, which is a game I brought that I got as a birthday gift, I think back in February, and hadn't played. It's a co-op, and you're in Flint, Michigan. I forget exactly the time period, but when people needed to strike to get regulations for work improved for General Motors, it's got like a, I don't want to say like a pandemic-y feel, but like everybody is going to be like a different group. There was like one faction that kind of like represents the people who work at the factories. There's one was like the women who were families, and there was like the labor union. I don't remember everyone involved, but everybody had their own special ability, and you're basically trying to get to a settlement before everybody gets exhausted from striking. So I think it's really, really well done. It's not complicated, and it's definitely like just a fascinating historical topic to explore with a board game, which is one of the reasons I love going to SDHistCon. Oh, I got to play Cross Bronx Expressway. Well, I got to get a taste of it because one day we set it up and we played through 4 events because it was very much like a learning game. None of us had known the rules ahead of time. And this is a 3-player game in GMT's ICS series, Irregular Conflict series. And these are games that are kind of like coin adjacent. You have different factions competing in some historical setting. And this one, like, is about the expressway being built in the Bronx and developed, and how it like displaced some people. And one player represents like private companies, one player represents the public, and one player represents the people. And you have this struggle that is very opaque, but you play through event cards and you can play with any 2 decades. It has a really cool action selection mechanism and events, just like the coin series, event cards that will have you struggling to figure out what you want to do sometimes for your turn. And I was fascinated by it. It's hard to say right now, like, oh, I love this game, or I like it, or I hate it. I wouldn't hate it, probably, ever. But it's hard to say because it is pretty opaque. Like, we ended up the next day then playing again, and we played through a full decade. And a normal game is 2 decades, but you can also kind of like string them together. That's another one you'll be hearing more from me about when I can play it, but it's really, really neat and fascinating so far. Then, less than a week after SDHistCon, we flew to Austin for NamandaCon. Yes, this is the official t-shirt from NamandaCon that I'm wearing. Not winning. Well, I guess I won it. because they hooked us up with t-shirts for going. But our friends Nate and Amanda just bought a new house earlier this year and decided to host a little convention before BGG.CON, and it was super fun. We got to meet a lot of their friends in Austin, and also there are friends I already knew in the gaming world in Austin, so got to see them, hang out at their beautiful house. The exciting things from that, had a couple epic games of Not Alone, thanks to my friend Ben Mandelker from Table Scraps. Ben introduced Not Alone to me, I think like a week before we flew to Austin, and I was like, wow, this is fun. I have to get this, even though I'm technically on a buying games freeze until I back to making money and stuff. It was only like $20, so I treated myself, and I got to play it a couple times. Had some memorable games. Not Alone is a game that is basically kind of like a one versus many game, something like Fear of Dracula, but it's card based. One player is the creature and the other players are the hunted, and the creature is trying to find the hunted. The hunted are trying to basically survive until they can get rescued, and it's just really neat. Like, there are a lot of mind games. The different locations on this planet you're exploring have different effects, and then whoever is the alien or the creature, like, you have your own deck of cards and shenanigans, and it's super cool. So it's fun to be able to play that more. I played Capital Lux 2 Generations. I don't know what took me so long to play Capital Lux 2, because I loved Capital Lux for a while. That was my jam. We played one scenario of it, but it was enough to remind me how much I love Capital Lux. So I need to get back into that soon. And then another exciting thing at NamandaCon, besides the amazing hospitality and Austin barbecue, I got to play 3 games, I think, that I have been wanting to play and I've owned for a while. We'll start with the one that I've had the longest and hadn't played. I think Colossal Arena. Colossal Arena is this Reiner Knizia card game. I think it's probably been re-implemented like 20 times, just like a lot of Reiner Knizia games. But you're basically betting on these creatures or monsters that are fighting in an arena, and the earlier you bet on someone, if they actually win, the more points they're worth. It was pretty neat, and I'm gonna hold on to my copy that I've had for years now, and finally got to play. Then I also got to play Dokmus for the first time. This is an abstract strategy game I've owned for a while. The hook is, number one, you draft these kind of like action tiles to say like what special ability you're going to have for a given round, and it also indicates the turn order. But it's an abstract strategy game where you're putting these like tents or buildings out on the board, and you're trying to surround stuff or be adjacent to temples and whatnot for points. But the map moves, so the map is kind of made up of these square tiles, and sometimes you can rotate them, sometimes you can shift them. It did not disappoint. I'm glad I held on to it all these years. Not sure if I will continue to. It's skinny. I liked it a lot, but I also need to like just trim down my collection, so we'll see. Okay, the other game that I played that I've had for, I think, just since the beginning of this year of 2025, but Iwari Deluxe Edition. I have been wanting to play Iwari for a long time. I think the original version of Iwari is called like Web of Power, and then there was a version called China. But this is an area control game that's driven by cards, plays in like 40 minutes. The scoring is interesting. It's like a layered area control thing where you're popping down these tents, and then you're also putting these like totems out, and the totems score differently than the tents. You have a hand of 3 cards. The cards will have an icon and color like associated with a region you can place a piece in, and it's very clean design with like just great player interaction, lots of different maps. I loved it. I think I played it I played it 5 times at NamandaCon. Yeah, that's a keeper for me. Taught some people Belratti, which is a cool cooperative game that some people don't know about because it's an older game that got reprinted by Cosmos. Yes, I have it back there somewhere. It got reprinted by Cosmos like a year or so ago, and it's really fun because number one, it plays great or maybe even best with higher player counts, like 6 or 7. You have this deck of cards that are this big deck of cards, all these different random items, and as you play, it's a cooperative game, but you're going to have a number of people who are going to be museum directors, and then you have some that are going to be artists for the round, and these cards kind of shift. So you'll be a museum director for a couple turns, then next thing you know, you're an artist for a couple turns, depending on your player count. And you flip over 2 cards from the deck, and they're gonna be like themes. Then the players who are the museum directors are going to figure out how many pieces of art they want the artist players to submit. Because the game is called Belratti because there's a rat situation, and Belratti is sneaking in counterfeit, fraudulent paintings into the mix. So if I'm a museum director and we're asking the artist for 5 cards, and the artist can't weigh in, but they're going to be putting in cards from their hand to basically assign them to one of the 2 themes. So we'll request 5 cards, let's say, 5 pieces of art. So the artists are like, I got something really good for one of them. I have 2 really good cards. I have something that's okay. So they kind of figure it out. They put in those 5 cards, right? After the 5 cards are in, Belratti puts in some cards. And I think the number of cards Belratti puts into the mix varies based on player count. But then you shuffle all the cards, and then the players who are the museum directors have to figure out which ones are the real paintings that their teammates, the players, put into the mix, and also assign them to the correct theme. So it's like one of those games where, like, sometimes, you're you're limited by the cards that are in your hand, and you sometimes will pick something that's based on the shape or the color, or, it's the same type of thing. It's really fun. Highly recommend checking out Belratti. Played Fromage. I thought it was cool. I see why everybody likes it. Like, the production's really cool. I'd be curious to try the Formaggio expansion that adds wine. But yeah, Fromage was cool, and that plays really fast. Oh, Ryan Courtney was at NamandaCon, also game designer who made Pipeline, Trailblazers, Spectral something or another. He's a very cool dude, and he was going to BGG.CON and met Nate and Amanda at the Dice Tower retreat, and so they invited him to NamandaCon beforehand. So we got to hang out a bunch, and many a nights Ryan and I were like the last ones awake. And so I was like, hey, I got this 2-player game in Essen called Seeker Chronicles. You want to try it? He and I set it up. I refreshed myself on the rules because Matt and I tried to learn it on the train on our way to Belgium. And we didn't get a chance to play the full game, but I saw enough to know that I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. This game is cool. If you're like me and you like 2-player 1v1 card games that kind of have that LCG, TCG feel, this one has a very unique theme where you are competing as scientists. And the core game comes with 6 different scientists, and then each scientist has a special module card, and then also another set of 10 module cards. And so you will draft scientists, and then the 3 drafted scientists you shuffle all the module cards together into one deck. You start with one of those scientists in play, and then you have that scientist's, they're called seekers. There's an acronym, I don't remember what it stands for, but that scientist module starts in your memory, which is just your tableau, a row of cards beneath where you place your seekers. During the game, the turn structure is really simple. You're going to ready any cards in your memory because you're going to exhaust them or tap them to use them as a resource. So at the start of your turn, you ready all those cards, if you have any in there, and then you draw a card from your deck. You're already going to start the game with some cards, and then you can play 1 module card into your memory. So that's from your hand onto the table, face up in front of you. After that, you can link or hyperlink as many cards as you want to your scientists, any of your scientists that you have in play. These cards have a cost to link them. When you link, you're linking it from your memory, from the table, and then you're sliding it under one of your seekers, the scientists. It's going to have an effect when it's linked, but then it also has a power value. And so you're trying to get your scientists up to, well, frankly, as high as possible, but like once you get your first seeker up to a strength of 7 or more from linking modules to them, you get to bring in a second one. And then once that one's up to 7 or more, you get to bring in your third one. And this is kind of like a lane-based knowledge combat game where your seekers are always going to oppose one of your opponent's seekers. And after you do all your linking and whatnot, hyperlinking, by the way, some of the cards can be hyperlinked from your hand if it has a hyperlink cost. And that always costs a little more, but it gives you some flexibility. If you have ready modules in your memory that you can exhaust to pay for them, you can just link a card from your hand with the hyperlink. Then, if you want, you can research. And research is pretty much a knowledge battle. First, your opponent is going to get a chance to link or hyperlink as many modules as they want to any of their scientists. And then after they do that or don't do that, then any of your scientists who are stronger or smarter than the opposing scientists, you're going to get to archive that many cards, discard them from your deck, your library. The goal of the game, which I have not mentioned yet, is to be the first to cycle through your deck 3 times. So it is a race. The cards have neat powers. I've already seen so much. We've just been playing with the recommended starter setup, so I haven't even done any drafting yet, but it's a very cool game. It's called Seeker Chronicles. I randomly Googled around the other night and that doesn't sound good. I searched the web for Seeker Chronicles because I'm like really curious and excited to see like when more sets are going to come out because I know they're planning to expand it. And I found out that it's like there are a bunch of like real scientists that made this game. Everything is like real science. I didn't even mention the seekers are real scientists that you'll know, like Isaac Newton, Stephen Hawking, other people that I don't remember their names, but they're somebody because scientists made this game. So anyway, it's a very cool 2-player card game that I randomly stumbled upon when Derek from Heavy Cardboard, my homie, we were walking around Essen and we stopped at the Wise Wizards booth and were catching up and they hooked me up with a copy of it when I was like, what? Dueling Scientists? Card game? Yes, please. So anyway, I really like Seeker Chronicles. So far, that's like one of my favorites that I've played from Essen. And I didn't even know it existed. So be sure to check that one out. And so after I smoked Ryan in our first game, he was doing laundry. And so his clothes needed to dry. So we were like, all right, let's play again. And also we were like getting familiar with the rules in our cards. And then next game was completely different because of the hand I drew into. You can do a mulligan, but then he ended up beating me. He didn't smoke me like I smoked him on the first game, but he did beat me. But it was really, really fun and totally worth being exhausted the next day from staying up till after 4 a.m. Totally worth it. Yeah, so that was NamandaCon. Then we hopped in. Well, Nate drove some of us. We had other friends that were coming from Austin to BGG.CON, so we kind of split up and they were kind enough to drive us to Dallas. So we did a little road trip. And on the road trip, stopped at Buc-ee's. I finally went to Buc-ee's and I got this hat. Nate and Amanda got me hooked on these cotton candy mints from Buc-ee's. I mean, oh, so good. So good. No, I'm not sponsored by Buc-ee's, but maybe one day. Anyways, then we went to Dallas for BGG.CON. At BGG.CON, it was always a good time there. I did not get to play a whole bunch of games because I was kind of Again, I'm trying to focus on priorities, trying to make some money. I was working on a video for GMT for their November 2025 monthly update. I just started using Final Cut Pro, and I was on my laptop. I ran into an issue that I tried to fix, made things worse. Yada, yada, yada. Didn't get to game as much as I had liked. Oh man, and I think I missed logging some things, but I played my friend Andy's game, Envelopes of Cash. The whole Game Brain crew was there. That was cool, even though I only got to play with a couple of them. Eric Martin showed us this crazy game about bunnies, where you're throwing cards and trying to get bunnies paired up to make babies. It was pretty silly. Just got to see some people catch up, and again, didn't play as many games as I would have liked. Then I told you this was a fall con crawl, but what I didn't tell you is that I actually took a fall. On our way back from dinner one night, I got my foot caught in my wide leg pants and just did this slow tumble, hurt my shoulder, skinned my knee. So that kind of derailed some things because we had an early afternoon flight and I was moving slow, had to pack up a lot. But BGG.CON, it seemed like everyone I talked to there was having a great time, and it was great to see people there playing games and having fun. Last thing I want to mention is Kickin It Creative. So yes, this is my new channel. Kickin It Creative, the name is because of the connection to drums, hitting that kick drum, but also because I like to keep things casual. I'm gonna have a podcast, I have a podcast. You might be listening to this in podcast format right now. It'll be very similar format to what I started with the Board Game Geek podcast, where I'll have guest co-hosts and collaborate with different people, talk about what we're playing and explore different mechanisms and different styles of games and whatnot. I think that's going to be a fortnightly thing. I don't know which day just yet, but I also plan to sprinkle in some bonus episodes here and there because I get a lot of random ideas and I just want to sometimes pop the mic on and share them. Then I'm also going to have a YouTube channel, I also have a YouTube channel for Kickin It Creative. This I'm really excited about because I've never had really my own YouTube channel. I got into painting minis earlier this year. I've been wanting to show that off. I want to just show off more games. I have games from Essen 2024 that I have not played yet. Yeah, this is 2025. Yeah, I haven't played yet. So I'm just gonna be trying to play games, also trying to trim my collection and tell you guys about games. Yeah, so that's the YouTube channel will be kind of a mix of that. No shows per se, but just videos showing off board games. I still plan to do some interviews here and there. Lots of collaborations with friends and different people in the industry. Oh, also, I'm going to be talking about my game, Rivals of Rock. Can't forget that. But yeah, there'll be updates and videos about my game, Rivals of Rock, which is going to be crowdfunded in the earlier part of 2026. We got to finish some art, do a little more development, but I'm excited. Probably after I record this, or maybe after I post this, I'm going to get the TTS mod updated so Ricky can work on the solo mode. Also, the last thing that's part of Kickin It Creative is Squawk and Roll. Some of you might know, but I started a newsletter back in March of this year, 2025, and it was just, it's an outlet for me to, number one, talk about more games, because I try not to make podcast episodes over 2 hours. I'll get it down. I know I'm a chatty person, especially with the right company. But Squawk and Roll, squawk like a bird, rock and roll, squawk and roll, is my newsletter that I talk about games and music that I've been hooked on. And also I send a monthly update out highlighting some videos that I've worked on. So if that's more your style, please like subscribe to that. I'll pop links for everything in the show notes and description. I'm not planning to do any social media. Personally, I don't like social media. I know that it's a great way to spread the word, but I don't know. It's like, to me, it's a distraction. Even when I was actively on social media, it's like, you want to check to see, oh, did anybody like that picture? Did anybody like that video? Oh, let me post this. And I kind of want to just be more in the moment, but I do want to engage with people. Please feel free to leave comments, preferably positive ones, or I guess not like negative for the sake of being negative. If you subscribe to Squawk and Roll and you want to reply directly to that email, I'll get it. I like hearing from people. I'm not always the fastest to respond. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, I do like want to engage with people and connect with people, but I don't like social media. I don't want to do it. And so that will not be a part of Kickin' It Creative. I also started making a Patreon page at some point. Might do something with that, but it's not quite ready. If anyone out there is like, hey Candice, how can we help you? Just please spread the word. I would love any help and support getting the word out to more people. People who maybe aren't hardcore gamers, but would be interested in hearing about why board games are awesome. So please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Just want to say thank you to everyone out there, friends, family, like just random people that I've met in this wonderful community. I really, really appreciate all of the encouragement, love, support, you know, in that middle point of after I left BGG, like I've received a lot of really, really thoughtful messages, and it just means so much to know that so many people out there care about me, especially when, you know, like a lot of people out there, I struggle with some nasty mental health stuff and, you know, get in my head about things, yada, yada, yada. And I know some people were concerned about me, but I just want to say I'm okay. I'm going to get things rolling, and I'm really excited, and I hope you'll be down to come along on the Kickin' It Creative ride with me, and we'll see what 2026 looks like.